Hey guys, so today I'm going to be reviewing the CoverGirl TruNaked Jewels Palette, and you may have seen this in stores. It's $12.99 at Ulta. That's where I bought it, so the price will vary depending on where you buy it. And the first thing you notice about this is all the pretty colors. There's some jewel tones in there. There's a black, there's a gold, there's a green, there's a pearly highlight shade, there's some mauve colors. Very pretty eye-catching palette. And I said, oh, I definitely want to pick that up because I enjoy the CoverGirl palettes. I have the others, goldens, nudes, and roses, and I think these are way better than the Maybelline palettes. That's just my opinion. You know, you might think differently, but I like the formula of these shadows a lot better than the Maybelline ones. They're not as dry, they're more pigmented. I think that you get 8 shadows for $13, so that's a little over $1 a shadow, so I think that's reasonable for drugstore. And so I put together a look with this when I first purchased it, and the first thing that I looked at was, what am I going to use for a crease shade? There's definitely no transition shade in here. But, you know, that aside, what am I going to use for a crease shade? So a lot of these are very sparkly and glittery, and maybe I could have taken a very light hand with the black, but the black is loaded with silver sparkle, so that's out. And so I thought, well, what else in here is matte? Okay, this is like a pinky mauve shade. Oh, I apologize for my chipped nail. I will repaint my nails as soon as possible. I noticed it after I had already got everything all set up to film. But anyways, yeah, so that's like a satiny, pinky, light mauve shade. And if you look at the others, a lot of them have either outright glitter or they have some sparkle to them. This purple has very little shimmer in it, so you might be able to use that in your crease. But then if you do, what are you going to use on your lids? What's going to correspond with that? I looked at the other colors and I thought, geez, I don't know. You could do the gold. You could do gold on your lids with purple in the crease. This purple, the tone of it is a little tough for me to pull off with my skin tone, but I think if I had darker skin, I think that's what I would do. I think I would try the, I'm calling this gold, but it's really not. In real life, that is like a mauvey shade. It's a mauvey pink, like a neutral mauve pink. But yeah, if I had a deeper skin tone, I think I would try the gold on my lids with the purple in the crease. And that would probably look pretty. Or you could maybe do... Well, there's a lot of different ways you can go here. But because I have very fair skin, to me, the most obvious choice here was to use the Pearl highlight shade as a brow bone highlight in inner corner, which is what I did. And then I used this pinky shade in the crease. The trouble with that is it blended right in with my skin tone. You can see, you can just barely make it out in the crease. It's like that pinky, satiny mauve. And then I put this shimmery mauve shade on my lids. And it's pretty, but it's very, very subtle. Then what I did was I took this blue, dragged that along the lower lash line, and I used a gray eyeliner on my lower lash line and tight line. The last time I used this palette, I did the exact same thing, except I used a bright blue eyeliner, and it was pretty, but I wanted to do something a little bit more wearable today because not everybody wants that bright pop of color. Yeah, sometimes you just don't feel like something like that, and I wanted to show you that you could use this palette and do an everyday wearable look with it. Now, it is very, very subtle on camera. In real life, it's prettier, and the colors are more noticeable, but it's just whenever you film something in video format, it mutes all your colors and doesn't make it look as vibrant. So in real life, this is a more colorful look. Not much more colorful, but it is more colorful. Now I wanted to show you on the back of the palette, they actually give you some ideas for different ways to wear the palette. And I came up with my own idea before I even looked at that. I didn't want to be influenced by that. So they do give you some ideas on what to do. And the looks were designed by Pat McGrath, and I think most of you know who she is because she's a very famous makeup artist that works with CoverGirl, and she also has her own line of products now that she is doing. And then if you lift up the sticker, it also gives you more instructive type information here, but it also gives you the shade names. So the first one is called Pearl, and like I said, I use that as a brow bone and inner corner highlight. The second shade is called Quartz, and that is the satiny pink light mauve shade. Number 3 is Sunstone. That's what I used on my lids. It's a shimmery mauve. And then the purple is called Amethyst. The blue is called Sapphire. The green is called Green Amber. The gold is just called Gold. And the black, sparkly, glittery black is called Onyx. Okay, now let me do some swatches for you so you can see how these swatch. All right, so we're going to start with the light one and work our way across. So this is the pearly highlight shade, and I would say it's coming across extremely white on camera, but in real life it isn't quite as stark white as it's showing on my finger. But that is the first shade in the palette. These shadows are very smooth and easy to blend. I really think that CoverGirl has improved tremendously with these palettes. They used to have shadows that were very dry and powdery, and they always had pretty colors, but they weren't the easiest shadows to work with. But these palettes are so much better in terms of formula. Okay, so this is the second shade, which is what I have in my crease. And because I have a lot of pink in my skin naturally, that's why you can't really see it that well. So that's like a satiny light pink shade. So see, when I do that, you can just barely make it out because it blends in so much with my skin tone. It would have been great if that shade had been a little bit deeper because I can't really imagine who that's going to work for because it's so light. If it doesn't show up that well on me, I don't think it's going to show up that well on anybody, really. The third shade, though, the shimmery mauve shade, it's like a rose gold mauve, is just gorgeous. And the way it's showing on my finger is really what it looks like more in real life. Really, really pretty. Gorgeous shade. It was actually the first one that my eyes went to when I initially saw the palette. And then the fourth shade is a very, very vibrant purple. It's kind of a warmish purple, which is why I don't think it would work that well for me personally, but if you have warm toned skin, you might have a lot of fun with that color. But it does have some shimmer to it, so I don't know if you'd be able to pull off using that in the crease or not. What might be even prettier is if you took that with one of the other shades and did it like on the outside corner of your lid and then used something a little bit lighter on the inside. Or you could do like a sheer wash of that on your lids and then put one of the darker shades on the outside of your lid. There's so many different ways that you can go with this palette. You could have a lot of fun with it. And if you took maybe a matte crease color that you already have and used it in conjunction with this palette, now you're really going to open up your options. Okay, so the next one is that sapphire blue. I guess it's a little bit lighter than a sapphire. It's more like just a royal blue color. Kind of goes good with my shirt. So I do have that like underneath the liner in my look today. So it's like a pretty bright, cool blue. And the next one is like a golden green. Really pretty. A lot of glitter in that though. So make sure that you use a sticky base. I like to use MAC paint pots because they really grip the shadows really well. But yeah, you might want to keep that in mind because there's a lot of glitter and shimmer in this palette. Okay, the next one is a gold. And this gold it's really nice. It doesn't have, it's very shimmery, but it doesn't have any big chunks of glitter in it, so you wouldn't get any fallout with this particular shadow. So it's a nice, smooth, shimmery gold. And then the last shade in the palette is a black with chunky silver glitter. And I don't imagine you could do that much with this without it being a big crumbly mess. So I would say maybe you could just take this with a small brush and use it as a liner. I think that would work. So that's the black. So as you can see from my hand, there is a lot of chunky glitter, and like I said, make sure you use a sticky base or you might have some problems. But this look that I have on today is super muted and everyday wearable look that you could do with anything. So you can do an everyday look with this if you stick with these lightest shades right here. But even with the blue dragged underneath my lower lash line, I think it's still very wearable. So I would give this a thumbs up, even though I would have preferred that this shade was a deeper shade of mauve. That would have been so much better. But even so, I like this palette and you can have a lot of fun with it. And you just have to bring in a matte crease color that you already own, and then you'll be able to have all kinds of fun with this. But I love the CoverGirl palettes. I think they're a huge improvement over what they used to be, and you get quite a few shades to play with. And you probably, if you already own one of these other palettes, you might even be able to use it in conjunction with the Jewels palette to form a complete look. So that's it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.